I don't know about you, but if you're anything like me, your Zoom classroom experience sometimes feels like the modern day equivalent to a seance.
Are you with us, Anne? Anne, say something if you can hear me. Anne, give us a sign that you are here with us. Anne.
Bueller, Bueller, Bueller. So how do we get students to turn on their ever-loving cameras? And is it even worth the trouble? Stick with me and let's talk about it. Hi, and welcome to Classroom Confidential. My name is Christopher Youngren, and I'm a middle school ELA teacher in Tucson, Arizona. Here on this channel, I share tips and strategies I've used both in person and online. Things that have kept me sane and my students engaged. I'm delighted to share my tips and experiences with you. So welcome. So if your year has been anything like mine, one of the songs you've been playing on constant repeat is "Please turn on your freaking camera." And it gets to the point where the frustration level is so high that you begin to question if it's even worth the fight. Why is it so important that their cameras be turned on? Well, of course, because we want to make sure that they're present and they're engaged. But can they still be engaged without leaving their camera on? Very good question, and one of the things that we're going to talk about today. But the first thing I think we need to keep in mind when it comes to this subject is that we need to start by seeking to understand, not judging, but empathizing. And I know that empathy sometimes can be challenging, especially for me in middle school. I assume the worst. I hate to admit it, but sometimes that cynical brain of mine goes to that, oh, they must be playing Roblox or Among Us or watching YouTube or whatnot. That's where my brain goes, rather than, oh, maybe they're self-conscious. Maybe they have anxiety. Maybe they don't want us to see what their house looks like. We jump to that conclusion immediately that they're just screwing around, because why on earth would they be self-conscious on camera? They do nothing but post their faces all over social media nonstop 24/7. So why would being in a Zoom meeting be any different? Because it is. On TikTok, they're the director. They're the editor. They're in control. On Zoom, they're not. And that is the major distinction between the two. Control versus an inability or lack of control. A lot of kids may feel like if they go into a Zoom meeting, anybody can record them and splash whatever they want to on their own social media and embarrass them. Especially in those awkward teenage years, that's where the brain goes. We are constantly worried about people judging us and being critical of us. So just because you think that they don't have any reason to be self-conscious because they're on Facebook or TikTok or Instagram or Snapchat doesn't mean that the same rules apply when it comes to the Zoom classroom. So we need to shift that focus. We need to stop making assumptions and seek to understand where they're coming from. Keep in mind, they're not just doing virtual learning. They are virtual learning in the midst of an ongoing year-long worldwide pandemic. I have a feeling we ain't in Kansas anymore. This is a whole new ball game, and the old rules do not apply. So those things need to be kept in mind. And share with your students your own anxiety. Share that sometimes maybe you're not that comfortable being on camera. Sometimes you're not ready to teach for the day. Talk about what it takes for you to get ready to go on camera, even if you don't feel like it. Talk about yourself and talk about how you are just a human being doing the best you can in front of a group of students, and they will maybe seek to understand you a little better, and it will become kind of a symbiotic effect, and the community will be built a little bit more as a result of it. And that leads me to my second point. Begin cultivating community on day one to enrich the virtual classroom experience. You need to let your students know that you are all in this together. You are right there with them. They may be separated, they may be distanced from one another, but when it comes time for your class, In this space right here, right now, you are one. And it may seem hippy-dippy and dopey, but it is so important that they feel like a part of it, because it's been over a year now. It's March 2021 as I'm recording this, and they've been at home, at least here in Tucson, for over a year. Over a year. That is a long time to not have the social interaction that the kids need. And so you want to make sure that you are leading with community, not compliance. You want to give them a reason to want to turn their cameras on, because the more you make them feel like a part of things, the more they're going to want to participate. And in many cases, they're not going to be able to participate if their cameras are off. So just remember, community over compliance, because when you start ruling with that iron fist and saying, do what I say or you're in big trouble, then you are going to be the one who's in trouble. So another note on self-consciousness, sometimes students are going to be reticent to turn on their cameras because they don't want you to see their background. They don't want you to see where they're living. Either their room is a mess or they don't live in a very nice place. Whatever the case may be, allow them the option to use virtual backgrounds. Now, I started off the year saying, no virtual backgrounds. It's just an excuse to mess around and be silly and distracting. But you know what? As long as they are keeping it simple, and as long as they are using a background that doesn't call a bunch of attention to itself, I say, why the hell not? And you know what? Go a step farther and teach them how to implement the virtual background. Some of them might not understand the tech side of things, so help them out. Show them that you are okay with them using a virtual background, but what's really important to you is seeing their face. Don't demand it, but say, I'm much more interested in seeing you than I care about what behind you looks like. So your aim should be to try and get your students to want to participate, to want to turn their cameras on. So how do you do this? Well, I use a whole series of icebreaker activities. I have an entire series here on this channel called Zoom-prov games. They're improv designed for Zoom, and I use them all the time, and the students love them. But guess what? You can't participate if we can't see you. Or how about an online scavenger hunt? The first person to bring back something purple gets a point. Or the first person to bring back something with the letter Q gets a point. Bring me back something slimy. Bring me back something furry. Or the Fun Time Friday games. I have another series on this channel called Fun Time Friday. Games, songs, activities, things that involve the entire class. Fun activities that everybody wants to be a part of. But again, you can't participate if we can't see you. Another thing that I think is so very important is to not demand absolute equity from all of your students. If Penelope really has a problem being on camera, don't make a big deal out of it. As long as when you call on her, she answers verbally. As long as you know that she's with you. As long as it doesn't become one of those seances from the beginning of this video. Penelope, are you here? Yes, I'm here. Penelope, what is the capital of Wisconsin? Madison, whatever. And if Douglas has a problem with Penelope leaving his camera off, guess what? It's none of Douglas's business. Hey, how come Penelope gets to leave her camera off? Well, guess what, Douglas? Because Penelope and I have an arrangement. Don't you worry about it, Douglas. What's important to me is that I can see your face, Douglas. I'm so happy to see you here today, and I'm really, really glad that you're participating. Don't worry about Penelope. Her deal is her deal. You worry about you. And finally, don't underestimate the power of passion. When you teach with enthusiasm and power and energy and fun and fire, the students can't help but pay attention. And right here, right now, again, you need to be the most interesting app on their screen. Give them a reason to want to be involved. You are not going to involve them if you are ruling with an iron fist and saying, pay attention to me. I am very, very important, and the words that I am saying you must learn because they will be on a test. Who cares? The students won't. all they're going to do is turn you off and shut you down. So bring the fire, bring the passion, bring the fun. I understand how frustrating it can be when you're already doing that and you're just met with a sea of zombified faces. But keep a going, like my grandfather used to say, keep a going, and eventually it will take effect. Passion is contagious, and if you stay with it long enough, the kids are going to have to pay attention to you. I hope, honestly, that mindset is the only thing keeping me going today, so I really hope it's true. And in the end, one of the things that's kept me sane this year is the words of the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. There are so many variables out there right here, right now, that we have no control over. But if we can control ourselves, and if we can make our classroom an inviting environment that the kids want to be a part of, that they want to participate in, it's going to go so much farther than whether or not they turn their ding-dang cameras on. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you got value out of this video. If so, do me a favor, smash that like button for me. And if you're enjoying my videos, why not subscribe to my channel? Hit that notification bell and you'll be alerted every single time I release a new video. Be well out there, stay safe, take care of yourselves, and please take care of someone else. We'll talk to you soon.